Hi, my name is Naila, and I'll be reading Proverbs 1:1 to verse 9. I love this scripture, and I think it would have been beautiful to read verse 9 on Christmas. You'll explain why. Um, I'll explain why later. But it's my birthday, so this is almost like a celebration for me. I'll be reading Proverbs. I love Proverbs. It's the book of wisdom. I'm a kid. I don't have that much wisdom, so I love reading it so I can gain more wisdom than I already have. Okay, so let's start. The proverb of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to understand word of insight, to receive instruction in wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance. To understand a proverb and a saying, the word of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and forsake not your mother's teachings. For they are a graceful garland for your head and a pendant for your neck. Now, I believe everybody in the Christmas season probably saw maybe like a garland. If you don't know what that is, it's a little festive decorated chain of like a plant that you could put around your doors and everything. And I think it's great that they use that example. It says a graceful garland for your head because I'm thinking back in the day that was probably like a big thing, where to wear a garland around your head. But now we decorate it, and I believe it's a beautiful example. Independent for your neck. Everybody gets necklaces almost on Christmas, I believe. And I think it's beautiful how that was explained. I'll explain why I love this so much. So let's start out with the first scripture, the proverb of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. That explains, well, I really don't know how much I can get into that. To know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight. Don't know what insight means. It is to understand the nature of people and to understand. Meaning that the words of insight is to have like a knowledge and an understanding of the nature of people, and to understand the words of people of people teaching the inner nature of people to you, to receive instruction in wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the simple. Now, in righteousness, justice, and equality is basically saying that I'm sorry, this is chapter 3, verse 3, to receive instruction in wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and equity. This is basically saying that in righteousness, doing what is right with insight in God. Justice, justice, I really can't really explain it, the definition. You can always look it up yourself. And equity, to be fair and just, to give prudence, the ability to disciple oneself by the use of reason, and to the simple. So basically, the act of giving all this knowledge to the simple, basically, which is receiving just instructions in the wise dealing. And that's just another example of the justice and wise. I'm sorry. In receiving instruction from wise dealing. That's just another example of the wise dealing instructions and what they consist of. Knowledge and discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance. To understand a proverb and the saying, the word of the wise and their riddles. This basically means understanding wisdom, proverbs, understand the riddles of proverbs, and increase your learning within God and also within the world, meaning that we will learn to be better in the world with this wisdom, with all these riddles and understanding them. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Hear, my son, your father's instruction. forsake not your mother's teachings. Now, this kind of ties to, I would believe, verse 4 as well. Verse 4 and 8 tie together. It says, "Hear, my son, your father's instruction, forsake not your mother's teachings." When it says this, it's basically explaining that us as children need to listen to our father's and mother's instructions because they have more wisdom, most likely, than as you being as a kid. Or they have more wisdom or knowledge, understanding over life in general. Chapter 4 says, "Give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth." When it says that, it's basically explaining almost the same thing, but not in the harshest, not in like a, different way. It's basically saying that we shall take wisdom from the elders, and the elders shall pass on their wisdom to the youth so that we can learn from the elders. "For they are a graceful garland for your head and a pendant for your neck." This internally means that, it's basically explaining that the mother is a graceful garland for your head. And I would believe, they are a graceful garland for your head. It's basically explaining that your parents are what you're going to need in life right there. Just as a pendant stays on as you want a necklace and as you need. As it explains graceful, I would say graceful garland on your head. I would think that would be like some graceful thing that they would want when back in the day. It was probably this big crown probably or something. They're basically explaining that as this graceful garland for your head and pendant for your neck, that is your parents to you. And that's your parents' instructions and teachings to you. So it's a beautiful example of your mother and your father and everything, just like it's just such a beautiful example. And that's why I really like this scripture. But overall, the scripture is basically explaining that you have basically the wisdom of the Lord and the Proverbs of Solomon, and the righteousness, justice, and equality, and prudence that we give to the youth, and the guidance obtained from the Proverbs and what wisdom that we are obtaining. It also explains how fools really do despise wisdom and instruction, and they most likely aren't going to get anywhere. And I'll get into that later. "Hear, my son, and your father's instructions," basically saying we must listen to our fathers and our mothers, how much we really don't feel like it, because I know sometimes I don't feel like listening to my parents, but I really do have to because they're more wise and they have more wisdom. And it basically explains them as a beautiful example, "For they are a graceful garland for your head and a pendant for your neck." It's such a beautiful scripture, and I love this scripture, Proverbs, to be honest. I believe it's beautiful. It's almost like a poem sometimes when I read it, and I love it. And that'll be it. It's my birthday again, and I'm turning 15. So I hope you guys all have a great day, and I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. Love you all. Bye.